is up, soccer friends? Welcome to Kickback Committee. We're glad you're here. I'm Susanna Fuller, alongside the hardest working man in soccer, my good friend, David Goss. How are you, Goss?
I am great. I was sick 2 weeks ago. I got better, and I am sick again.
Were you sick over Thanksgiving?
It hit me probably Saturday, so I got the flavors of Thursday and
Thank God.
the leftover sandwich on Friday, and then all my flavor went away after I got fully messed up. So now I'm just eating turkey with no flavoring at this point, finishing it out.
But you were able to enjoy your post-Thanksgiving sandwich.
Yes.
Very important. How
Crucial.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how was this post-Thanksgiving sandwich?
It was up there. It was an 8 or 9.
Okay.
It was on
Okay.
fresh rye bread. It had all the things that I wanted on it. It was perfect. Because I do mashed potato stuffing on it with cranberry sauce. Which I've heard a lot about over the last week.
Yes, indeed.
People are not happy with me.
I know. That was a very, very polarizing take,
Yeah.
David Goss. But you know what? I find a place for both of it. I love me some cranberry. I just happen to put gravy higher up on my hierarchy. That's it.
I will say this. We forgot mac and cheese, which is not a staple of my family. But when it was said to me, it was like, yeah, that's a pretty good one if people do it.
I'm so glad you brought this up because so Ian and I spent Thanksgiving in Asheville, North Carolina, which was delightful, by the way. People, if you have not experienced Asheville, North Carolina, it is wonderful. Post Helene, they have just really rejuvenated the city. There is such a lovely spirit amongst people there. They're so thrilled to have visitors that feels like there were a bunch of tourists there. And it was just, it's just a beautiful, beautiful little mountain town. Highly recommend. So Ian and I are there for Thanksgiving, and we rented this lovely little cabin in the mountains, and we decided that we were just going to order food that had been basically these restaurants that prepare a Thanksgiving meal, and then you can take it home with you. So we did a barbecue style Thanksgiving, which was absolutely phenomenal. Luella's Barbecue in Asheville, North Carolina, you guys, is no joke. It is so legit. So we're talking smoked turkey. We got some brisket, mashed potatoes, stuffing.
Love it.
Cranberry. But there was mac and cheese. And Ian, when we were ordering, he was like, mac and cheese. And he was like, that's not really a Thanksgiving side. And I said, it's definitely a barbecue thing. Mm-hmm. Like mac and cheese is usually on a menu at any barbecue joint. And I said, I feel like I've seen it on some Thanksgiving spreads, but not all. But seeing as how we are in North Carolina, this feels appropriate. So we got the mac and cheese. When in Rome. My God, this was some of the best mac and cheese I have ever had in my. It was just the creamiest, loveliest. And Ian was like, "We are never not having mac and cheese at Thanksgiving ever again because this was so good." So now mac and cheese is going to be absolutely included in my five-a-side. And I don't know what I have to drop now, which makes me panic. But I was basically eating mashed potatoes and mac and cheese for 4 straight days. Just give me all the carbs.
My sister went to a Sidesgiving on Saturday.
Sidesgiving is so good.
Don't even fake it and make the protein. It's about the sides. I think it was my wife who brought up mac and cheese in her household. I think it's a Thanksgiving thing. Yeah. But they're also a big mac and cheese family. Their dad shreds all the cheese, makes it, from scratch, all that type of stuff. So I've never had it, but I could understand that it makes sense in the order.
100%. I can't say enough good things about this place. I need to give a huge shout out to one of the best soccer bars I have ever stepped foot in my life.
Okay.
In Asheville, North Carolina. Old London Road Pub.
Hell yeah.
The River Arts District. So this place is remarkable. Number one, it's just an awesome soccer bar. They've got a little outdoor patio area with some screens outside, but then food trucks around it. So you can kind of get whatever you want. If you want tacos, if you want fried chicken, everything is available to you. Inside, they have, the entire place is just covered with kits and scarves from around the world. I mean, like it's crazy. There was a Minnesota United flag up. Ironically, Ian pointed out there's no One Knox gear in here.
Nice.
He's like, which seems odd because we're not that far away. Yeah. So I was like, we need to come
Ian,
back.
They can only support you in so many cities at one time.
Exactly.
They were Minnesota fans.
But he was like, he's like, Minnesota's here, Knoxville's not. But Asheville does have a USL League Two team, so they were very well represented there as well. But one of the coolest things about Old London Pub is that during Hurricane Helene, the River Arts District is the one that was so decimated during this floods because it's very low lying right next to the river, and so much of that area was underwater. And Old London Road is kind of set back a little bit, and so the water had come basically like up to the doorfront of this pub, and then started to recede. So it was like just like by a miracle, this place was not destroyed. And then what they ended up doing was staying open and for all of the other vendors and businesses there to, once the water receded, to help them rebuild. And they let people set up shop in their parking lots, and it kind of became like this like community gathering spot for all of the businesses that were just pummeled by this devastating hurricane. And it was such a beautiful story because, we talk about it all the time. Like, we're the kickback committee, like soccer is all about community. And, it was just so beautiful that this soccer bar in Asheville became such a beacon in what was an extraordinarily dark time for Asheville last fall, and to see them thriving and we went in there. There was some Bundesliga matches on. There wasn't like a full slate of soccer to watch, but it was great crowd in there. Great beer selection. Like TVs everywhere. They had a Diogo Jota kit up and a whole Liverpool section. I mean, it was just they've done it so well. And so anytime I go to a soccer bar and it makes me feel that good, I feel like I have to talk about it and give it some shine. And so I would encourage everybody that travels to or visits Asheville, North Carolina, to go to Old London Road Pub. It is a delightful experience. Have I sold it, Gus?
I would go to Asheville. Not that I wouldn't before, but now I would go just to go there. So yeah, you absolutely sold it. And also then put me back through memories, because me and Douglas met up at Jack's in San Jose, which is a soccer bar as well. And you were talking about the scarves and all the setup, and you're like, soccer bars are the best.
They're the best. They're just the best. And Ian and I were sitting there, and I was like, I literally could sit here all day and just have some beers and take in the atmosphere. We didn't, because we had other things to see, so we limited ourselves to just one. But
nice.
It was just that cozy, wonderful atmosphere that a good soccer bar always seems to have, and they've done it so well. So shouts to them.
We've already done North Carolina, but I think we're gonna have to add it back on.
We have to. I know. I was thinking that actually.
Well, we're gonna do a national. I think at the end of all of this, we're gonna try and do some brackets and some national stuff, so we can put a wild card in there.
I love that. I think they should absolutely be included. But Gus, there's a lot of soccer things going on right now. It's a big week. We've got the World Cup draw coming up, and of course, the MLS Cup Final on Saturday. Messi versus Mueller, Inter Miami against the Vancouver Whitecaps. This is going to be such an epic final, and so we decided that, as we do on this show, we are going to catch up with both sides of this matchup. So we'll be joined by Javon Haughton of the Miami supporters group Black Herons, and Michael McColl, who hosts the AFTN podcast in Vancouver. That's going to be some fun conversations with them. And we also, in vein of the World Cup draw, which is happening on Friday, Gus, you are going to be hosting a live watch along?
Yes.
What are we calling this? It's
a live World Cup draw show, because you don't even have to watch along, because once the name comes out of the pot, we could talk about it the same as them. Like, you don't have to watch FIFA's event. That's kind of what we're telling you. We're going to take the bullet on that one. We're going to watch it so you don't have to. We have some great guests. We've got Claudia Pagan, one of our own from Kickback Committee, who's going to be joining us in person for a little. You're going to be with us via video. We have some interviews. with some players from World Cup teams as they head into the draw. We've got Eric Krakauer, who I've worked with for a while, who's one of the best soccer knowledge people of just global soccer, who's going to be with us. Heath Pierce is going to be joining us as well. So we are going to be in person, speaking of soccer bars, at Football Factory in New York. If you are in the area, we are going to be there starting at 11:30. We're going to be there through 7 p.m. at least. And I say at least because I think I've learned from the events we do that when we put a capper on, if the bar's not closed, there's a decent chance it goes further. But we are going to be live streaming, so you can watch on our YouTube page starting around 11:45, probably through roughly 4 o'clock. So we're going to stream through the draw. We've got a lot of different games that we're going to do, a lot of conversations we're going to have. And then immediately, we're going to be giving you analysis of everything that we learn as it happens. So if you cannot be there in person, you can watch online. It'll be on our Instagram pages as well as on YouTube. If you can be there in person, slightly limited capacity inside Football Factory, which is the basement of Legends, but the bar's fully open. So come by anytime you have. And then from 4 o'clock on, apparently there's going to be some beverages around at the bar. So just come hang out if you miss it all. And if you miss all of that, we've got a new podcast feed that we're starting, which is going to be our World Cup products. We've got a lot of shows on it. We will be putting the analysis portion out of it as a podcast. So I don't know what to call it. It's a little bit of everything. We're a media company. We kind of do it all. And this event is sort of an example of everything that we are going to do, but I'm very excited.
Very, very cool, Gus. Wish I could be there in person, but I will certainly be there in spirit and watching you guys online. I'll get in those comments. I promise.
We need it. We need someone to keep us on the straight and narrow. And then you'll be there when we go to the World Cup.
100%. Yes, that I can guarantee. So, Gus, later on in the show, we're gonna offer up 5 things that we want to see happen in this World Cup draw.
Our wish list. Our World Cup draw wish list. So you've got that to look forward to as well.
But as we mentioned, MLS Cup Final, finally upon us on Saturday. Inter Miami going to host the Vancouver Whitecaps. It's going to be an epic final. And right now we decided we're going to do a little bit of a vibe check with both sides of this final. So first we caught up with Javon Haughton, who is a member of the Black Herons supporters group. Here's that conversation. Javon Haughton, welcome to Kickback Committee. It is so great to have you on. Thanks so much for joining us. How are you feeling today?
Thank you for having me on. I'm feeling really well today, actually. Finals on Saturday, so really, that's all I'm really thinking about.
I think that's probably true for many people in Miami as we look ahead to Messi versus Mueller. There's a lot of storylines in heading into this final, but I want to ask the question, were you happy that it was going to be Vancouver that Miami were facing as opposed to San Diego?
I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I'm not happy at all. Selfishly, as a sporting and football fan, I guess I could say, I get to see Mueller and Vancouver. I've been watching them all season, really, and they've been doing really well, and they're actually a very good team. So they play good football. It's good to watch, but obviously, as a neutral, I feel like San Diego, no disrespect to them, but would have been a much more favorable matchup than this Vancouver team. So, no, I'm definitely not happy about that.
Were you in the building when they played in CONCACAF, 5-6 months ago in the semifinals?
Yes, I was in the building, actually, and I seen it, and that actually is one of the reasons why I was like, yes, I would rather not have to play these guys again.
But Javon, won't it make it even sweeter if and when Miami end up winning MLS Cup against Vancouver, who is, I think you could make an argument, have been probably the strongest and most consistent team in MLS this season?
No, yes, definitely 100% to everything you just said. Vancouver, again, being respectful, we're going to give them their credit. They have been arguably the best team just from a consistency level throughout the season, especially they lost players, had injuries, and still kept that same level. But make no mistake about it, especially now, seeing that it seems as if Mascherano has finally found that balance for the proper starting 11. Like, I'm still very, very confident that we could get it done and get that revenge, like you said, that sweet revenge on Saturday. But, it's going to be like there has been all-time classic MLS finals I can remember watching. I think Saturday might be one of them.
Let's talk about the experience around this team. What was it like last weekend when they broke through and you knew they were going to their first MLS Cup? And what's the overall experience been just watching this team in the form they've been in over the last month?
Well, to be honest with you and let you know, honestly, being especially a supporter from day one, so seeing how it was before and then watching now, especially like in the North Stand, because every game, I try to make it to every home game I do. I also have my own YouTube channel where I vlog actually the experience in the North Stand. So I try to capture those moments. And it was like, it's insane. Like, just like a few years ago, we'd never think that we'd be at this point that we're at now, So it's like just the way everybody enjoys themselves out there and like just the scene, how crazy it is. Like, it's literally like even a video can't do it justice. Like, you literally just have to be there and feel it.
All right, so Javon, kind of walk me through what Saturday is going to look like from a supporter's perspective. Like, I know you're a proud member of the Black Herons. What do you guys have in store? What do you have planned? I want to feel that match day atmosphere from your perspective.
Well, the Saturday, it's gonna be honestly business as usual, but just with a much more deeper additive to it. I do think this is probably going to be our earliest tailgate ever because the final is at 2:30. We like to get out there hours, so let's say get to the parking lot by like 9-10 o'clock. We're gonna set up. We go inside, help set up, like the kakuna that you'll see us standing, jumping on, different flags, stuff like that. Come out. We have our chefs that prepare food for the people. I think usually it's short ribs and chicken wings, but I don't know. Maybe this week it'll be like eggs and toast. Who knows? We might have a brunch tailgate, and get in the spirit with some adult beverages as well. Those will definitely be in high demand, and then just be ready, to be as loud and as crazy as possible.
I want to ask you about two things that I think I'm curious as a fan of the team you think of, because I know we've heard a lot from other people. One is other people's perception of Inter Miami and what the team means and how you see it from other fans around the league. And the other is Chase Stadium, which I grew up going to Shea Stadium. It was a dump. It was our dump. Like, what is the emotional hold of Chase Stadium, which this could be the last game ever for Inter Miami with the new building opening?
Okay, so to answer the first question you said, and not to try to not be too long-winded about this, but like,
okay,
I really don't give a bleep, because at the end of the day, I look at it like this. Yes, there are certain MLS teams who have a historical significance, right? The DC United, Seattle's, all that good and fine, but this is a closed market league. Everybody buys into the league. Everybody is really under the same rules. So certain outside factors are going to be the pull. Like, listen, Miami is pretty nice. Like, it's December. It's like almost 70 degrees outside. There's a beach there. If Messi wants to come here because of that, that's not on us. So you could say whatever you want. It's all right. Like I say, everybody pays an expansion fee and comes into the league. So however people feel about it, like, listen, if I had to watch Messi play for somebody else and they just go from being whatever to the best, I'd probably be mad too. So I understand. In terms of Chase Stadium, right? And again, for the originals, we know that it was Drive Pink Stadium originally. Like, when they first remodeled it and did it, it was Drive Pink. So having, and especially me, I immigrated here, right? I'm originally from Jamaica. So having never grown up here to go to the old, and funny enough, I actually did go to the old Lockhart Stadium once before the Strikers folded. So having that experience, but then now having Drive Pink, as I'll call it affectionately, be like my first true like rise into any like fan day-to-day fandom like of a team. Okay, yes, I could go stand there, see, support. Like trust me, like like the tailgates have almost been on a different level this season because like every time we're there, it's like we're almost conscious of that fact that it's like, yeah, we're about to move, and this is like 5, 6 years of history right here now, and it's like this is it. So, you know what I mean? Definitely, and like you said, Saturday is going to be like a highly emotional, and what a way to end it on a win, you know?
Incredible. Javon, so I grew up in Chicago in the 90s, right? And like Michael Jordan was, you know, king, and there was something so I can't even describe what it was like knowing that your team was the best and that you had the best player in the world and that they were probably going to win week in, week out. Like Messi is the GOAT, the greatest of all time. And so when you have the opportunity, you get to watch him play week in, week out. Does it ever get old for you watching what that man is able to do on a soccer pitch? Because I remember when I watched Jordan, like it was something where I remember being like, I have to appreciate this, every moment of this, because it could go away very soon. Do you kind of share that sentiment when you watch a Lionel Messi do his ridiculous magicianship on a soccer field?
I mean, it's definitely, and like I said, as a fan, regardless of who your favorite player is and what side of the fence you stand on, as humans, we all have personal preferences. But it's like you say, when you just get to see greatness, you have to appreciate it. And it's like, it gets to the point where, like you said, we want it to be like moments like Saturday where it leads to this and want more. But trust me, like watching him out there playing, it literally just looks like men against boys, like majority of the time. Like, and for how good he still is, especially like manipulating the ball, moving with the ball at his age, it's like you said, it's definitely like incredible to watch. And again, like I said, I get why other teams hate us, right? I would hate us too if I had to just be on the outside looking in. You know, if I had to be on the outside looking in, I would hate it. But I mean, it's undeniable. Nobody can question the complete transformation that he has had on this club. Like I could tell you firsthand. Like I remember the last tailgate before he was announced to sign in, and then the one literally directly after that. It was night and day. Like it didn't even feel real.
I told people a lot. I live right now in Brickell. I've only been there for a year. I'm not a Miami expert, but there's pink everywhere. There's pink license plates. People have, you know, their key tags are pink. People are wearing hats, jerseys, shirts. There's paintings of Messi all over the city. What do you think it would mean to you if they win the championship? And what do you think afterwards would look like? Like, are we talking parades? Are we talking TV events? Like, what do you think how do you think Miami will react?
Okay, so I think the biggest thing that winning on Saturday can do is legitimize this team in the city, you know, because anybody that's been in South Florida, especially Miami, and knows Miami people and Miami teams, is like they'll support you, but like you need to win, you know, and call it fair weather or not, but it's just you need to show them that you're serious. You know, like it's cool, it's fine, everything is here. But when you could win, it let us know you're serious. You could see it with the effect of the Panthers being back-to-back champions and just how hockey has literally exploded. Everywhere you go now, you see Panthers jersey. Literally, right? So I feel like it would move Inter Miami out of the, oh yeah, you know, it's cool. It's a team that Messi plays for. It's here niche markets are like, okay, no, this is really like a powerhouse level team. And in terms of for the future, I feel like the mark has already been made because we know the power of influence and seeing somebody do it. And other stars, whether younger or older, seeing somebody like Messi come into somewhere like this and validating it, and not only come in but signing an extension, being like, all right, yeah, you know what, I like it here and I could do this. And even just at the end of Saturday, watching the trophy parade and he's there jumping around and celebrating with them, like how happy and invested he looks. Like, I feel like the mark has already been made, and it's like, again, people are going to continue hating us because Messi eventually has to retire, but I feel like the Miami Magic train definitely doesn't stop or end there.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And to that point, I want to ask about Javier Mascherano and the job that he's done, because I feel like there was a real kind of growing period for him as he took on this head coaching position, his first real head coaching role. How has the narrative around him changed amongst Miami supporters from like the start of the season, when perhaps maybe some of the results weren't going the way that they wanted? Maybe the team wasn't playing exactly the way that you thought they would, but, you know, personnel changes. And then suddenly the last like couple months, they've just been clicking. Like, how do you guys feel about the job that Javier Mascherano has done with this group?
And you know, it's so funny because I was literally having a discussion with my friends on my channel, Beer Sports Talk, and I was literally saying this, where there is nobody that was a bigger critic of Mascherano than me in the beginning of the season. I'll be 100% honest with you. You know, like, I'll be 100% honest with you, because I don't ever try to sugarcoat my true analysis, because I know it's how I feel. It's not agenda based. It's not, oh, I like this guy, I don't like it. It's like, I'm just not seeing it. And he looked very confused in the beginning in the terms of not necessarily knowing, okay, what's the best formation, what's the best style, how are we really going to approach game in, game on. But like you said, him venturing in on it being his first real major head coaching job. I know he did some work with, like, I think the Argentine U20s before, but his first senior job, right? And under such a microscope, because outside of like a top job in Europe, this is like one of the biggest jobs you could step into, just from the market, the star power, and just the attention you're going to get, you know? And he was under some pressure, but I always say opinions are there to always be changed. And I was definitely open to being wrong. And listen, so far, he's proven wrong. Like, I'll be 100% honest, especially going into the Cincinnati game. I wasn't confident going into that game because I didn't know what he was going to do. I was telling everybody, I'm like, yo, I'm not confident. You know, since he has some good players. Now, I wasn't expecting Cincy to come out and just not show up. You know what I mean? Shout out to them for that. But after I watched that game and I seen how we played, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the lineup right here. So yeah, Mascherano, Javi, that's my bad, bro. That's my bad.
A huge part of that is benching Suarez. Where does Suarez sort of stand in the fan base, and what is his legacy, you think, going to be with Inter Miami?
Listen, I think obviously he still has his fans naturally from who he is, you know, regardless of the personal stuff he's been through as a player. You can't deny his career and how great he has. So he still has fans from that standpoint. But just from where I stand, from being on the North stand and being around people and really hearing it, I think, especially with the performances of young Silvetti coming in, I think everybody is 100% in agreement of where, yeah, this team is better with Suarez not starting. And it's like, you can kind of see it, man. Lucho, he's given a lot to the game, and people are we're gonna respect him because we still remember that first season when he came here and he was still spectacular. He performed way above expectations for me, even, right? I could speak for myself. So, and at the end of the day, I mean, we sealed the job on Saturday and do it. He scored goals that contributed to it. you know? So 100%. He'll be remembered fondly and a legend even. I mean, listen, we win Saturday, everybody on that team is a legend in my books.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I was going to close you out on this, which is, the team got announced such a long time ago. It's been a long road, even though a lot of people have only tuned in the last 2 years of not knowing where they'd play, starting in COVID, not having fans, temporary stadiums, permanent stadiums, bad teams, coaches fired, DPs, too many designated players, not enough. All of that in between, if or when, whichever phrase you want to use, they're able to win on Saturday. What are you going to think back on? Like, what sort of do you connect with in those moments and say, I can't believe we're here?
Honestly, I feel like the biggest thing it would just show me and allow me to reflect on, even just now within my personal life, on my journey, doing what I'm doing, is just to appreciate that journey and the struggle, because everything leads to that. Like I said, like I was there from day one. Like I literally remember when we played LAFC away, drew 1-1, then we were supposed to play at home, and COVID literally came the Thursday and everything shut down. NBA, all that, because I watch all sports, everything shut down. And I'm like, wow. And we had to wait. It finally opens. We're out there. We're hyped. We feel like we're going to be good. We're actually terrible. We're like, okay, don't worry, we'll get it right. We're still terrible. The stands are empty. Like I said, I was there when the stands were empty. Like literally. And I will show on my channel, I'm going to show proof, and I'm going to have proof to be like literally from day one seeing it. So some people were late to the party. It is what it is. We understand. You know what I mean? Not everybody is a visionary, but Saturday we just want everybody to come out, be loud, be one, because like this is our moment. Like MLS Cup Final in your home stadium. Do you know how insane that is? And everything was set up for it not to be like that. Like we weren't thinking New York were going to beat Philadelphia and get through. So it's almost written in the stars, man. It's almost written in the stars. I don't want to ride out Vancouver because, like I said, they're a dangerous, deadly team, and the football culture in Vancouver is amazing, and they're really locked in on their team and their city. And it's like, I would love that for them, but unfortunately not this year. Because we gotta get it this time. Sorry, Vancouver, but yeah, definitely. And listen, I'll just throw it in there. I think we win 2-1. Messi brace, Mueller.
Love that.
Mueller with the one. It's literally going to be a battle of the stars, and the complementing pieces are what's going to take over the edge. So who's that second star that's gonna step up? That's what I'm waiting to see, because we know there's 2 stars are gonna step up. Yeah. So
absolutely. I thought you'd say there'd be more goals in this one because both teams.
No, 100%.
Potent attack.
I think it's gonna be cagey.
Okay.
Where exactly, everybody's playing intense, getting hard into tackles. The crowd is gonna be loud and raucous. We always are. We're gonna be extra loud. So I think it's gonna be like one of those tight games.
Oh man. Javon, you've got me hyped. More hyped than I already was. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on Kickback Committee. Enjoy every second of Saturday, my friend. Take it all in.
No, listen, again, like I said, thank you guys for having me. It was a blast. It was great talking to y'all. I'll come back on. Listen, after we win on Saturday, I'll come back on again, man.
Perfect.
100%.
Open invitation, Javon.
Yeah.
No, 100%, man. So again, thank y'all for having me on, for the hospitality. It was great talking to y'all, and look forward to talking to y'all in the future.
Well, we have heard from the Miami side of this MLS Cup Final. Now we turn our attention to Vancouver, and we are absolutely thrilled to welcome in Michael McColl, who is the host of the AFTN podcast in Vancouver. Michael, welcome to Kickback Committee. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Okay, I'm so excited for Vancouver, and I can only imagine how excited you are. For me, I worked in MLS for years, Michael, and Vancouver just was this perpetual dark horse, and there were glimpses and there were seasons where you thought there was something special happening and it just never came to fruition. And yet this season has felt so different. We talked about the consistency of this Vancouver Whitecaps side, and now the ultimate payoff, playing in an MLS Cup Final against Lionel Messi and Inter Miami. I'm having a hard time actually believing that they got here because it just feels like it has been such a journey. So for you, have you been able to wrap your head around the fact that Vancouver is playing in an MLS Cup Final?
It is a tough one. Like, if you'd said in February they would have had the season that they've had, you would have really wondered what had happened. But they've made the final in every single tournament that they've played in. I was fortunate or unfortunate enough to be down in Mexico for the Champions Cup final. But I think that defeat just spurred them on. And it just made them realise how good a team they were. And then they went out and they made additions, and obviously they made a big addition, the biggest ever. But I've written about this team since 2009, before MLS days. And now, my very first year here, which was before we started the media side, 2008, they won the USL Championship. So I started off with a bang, and I was like, oh, this is great. This is what it's going to be like here. And then it's been quite dry since then. You talked about getting close before 2015. I look back that was the year the Whitecaps could and should have won the MLS Cup. They absolutely had the wrong game plan against Portland. And it still hurts so much that could have been the year. If we'd got past Portland, I think MLS Cup was coming, and then who knows what happens in the final. But to be in it now, it's just all sorts of crazy.
Yeah, how do you sort of put in context for people how fun and exciting and interesting this year has been from strength to strength across different competitions, the style, the characters, versus what has been the last 16 years where there's been a lot of dry spells, as you said, and a lot of pain.
When you look at like what media coverage, for example, that you give a team, it's sometimes easier to get the coverage if the team isn't good because there's so many things to find fault with.
Yeah.
But it's hard to pick fault this year. And I think the storylines have kind of written themselves this year because of all the injuries, the international call-ups, the players getting to the All-Star game, the cup runs, a four-peat in the Canadian Championship. It's a lot of fun to be around this team, but not just because of what's going on the pitch. This is the best locker room I've ever seen at the club. And that's saying something because there's been some good ones, especially the last couple of years under Vanni Sartini, he had some good ones. But this year, I know the phrase like brotherhood's thrown out a lot in soccer, but it really is. Every single one of these players fights for each other. Whenever you speak to any of them, it's never me, or I. It's always team. And they always talk about the team. They play down what they've done to talk about the team or teammates.
I think it's so true and such a vital point of pretty much like any championship winning team. There always seems to be that sort of camaraderie that exists. And I think a lot of that starts with the man in charge. And you are talking to a girl who absolutely adored Vanni Sartini. Okay. I was heartbroken when they let him go. Literally one of my favorite characters of all time in MLS. But then enter Jesper, and this man so seamlessly kind of stepped into this role and added to what was already a very strong, as you talked about, locker room. What did he get right from your perspective, watching him take this on? Like, what has he gotten right with this club?
He did so much research before he came to the club. In his introductory press conference, he spoke about how he was watching tapes and reading notes on the way over. His assistants put together a big dossier on every single player, playing style, everything that they did so far. So he read that and he knew what he was coming into, and then he already had in his head how he wanted to play. And one thing, he's the polar opposite personality-wise from Vanni, who is like up there on the sidelines as a 10. Now, Jesper can can get ratty, as you may have seen in the San Diego game. He was yelling at the fourth official a few times in that game whilst winning 2-0. So you love to see that. But he's brought a calmness. Like when you watch them celebrate the goals, even the big cup run in CONCACAF, he maybe allows himself a split second to celebrate, and then it's calm. And that calmness has transferred onto the pitch. You watch them on the ball, they're calm. They're pressuring, they're forcing turnovers, they're making the other team panic. And even when they go 1 down, 2 down, they don't panic. They have this belief that they can get back into the game. So he's instilled a belief in them, but he's also brought this playing style. Defensively, it's very different from Vanni. Vanni loved his zonal marking, which is something I detest. I hate it. And I think from off-record chats with players, so did they. And now you've got a way better defensive shape. The players know what they need to do in the box. They know to pick up men. You've got the midfield that is built around the 2 best midfield pivot, I think, in the league, in Berhalter and Kubis. And then you sprinkle in Brian White, who's had another career year. But how every season we're saying, oh, he's had a career year. He's not going to do that again. And then he does. And when you look at how many games he's missed with injury and what he's put up, it's incredible. And then you sprinkle in a little bit of Thomas Muller towards the end, and it's just all come together.
A dash of Muller.
A little. But I think all the injuries helped him, because it meant every single player got significant minutes early in the season. They all learned the system, they all knew their roles, and they were able to come in when called upon and execute it.
There's so much to talk about in this team. You went through it, the back line. There's, midfield, front line. There's so many stories of development, players like Brian White and Tristan Blackman, who were sort of thrown out by other clubs and have gotten opportunities. The big one to me, before we get to Thomas Mueller, is Ali Ahmed. And I thought it was really cool that he got his stage in the conference finals, and, for a lot of people to pay attention, but Jesse Mars has paid attention. He's inserted him into his starting lineup. To me, he's the picture of all of this. Came out of the Toronto Academy with no chance, joins Vancouver sort of at the academy level in the 2 team, and has built his way up and through. What have you seen from his rise, and sort of how does it tell the story of what this club has been able to put together with a lot of parts that some would call misfit?
Yeah, his personal story kind of sums it up. I've listened to you and Tom talk about this a lot over the year as well. The likes of Sabi, Priso, similar stories. But Ali Ahmed, he has so much potential. For me, he's not at the consistency to be in a top 5 league just yet, but he's getting better. And when he is on the ball and in the zone, you don't know what he's going to do. Sometimes I'm not sure Ali knows what he's going to do when he's on the ball. Like the third goal against San Diego, Blake Price, who's one of the Apple TV commentators on Twitter, had said it was like watching a giraffe with a football. Because he's gangly, and he goes one way and then he just drags it back. And Pilcher was like, I just don't know what's happened. And by the time that's happened, Ali's way past him. So if he can bring the consistency, he's got a big move coming. But his growth's been great to see. I got to know him during WFC2. I'm, I think, one of the few media that actually covers the twos as well. So he got an injury. So me and him used to chat at the games a lot, and we got to know each other. And he's such a lovely guy. And he's always like, I always remember everything from his time in Vancouver. So Vanni Sartini brought him in. And this was before there was officially a WFC2. It was just a development squad. And then they got in the twos, and then he's earned his contract. And he is a typical story of these guys. They've been given an opportunity to join from the twos, and most of them have taken it. Some, they've maybe not been at that level, or they've had to go on loan or whatever. But he's a great story all round.
Another great story with this Vancouver side is obviously the arrival of Thomas Mueller, who is just a serial winner. He's won everything. He's won everywhere that he goes, and now he is doing the exact same thing with the Vancouver Whitecaps. I think we all knew, we were all thrilled when we heard the news that he was coming to MLS, but the way in which he has so seamlessly fit into this group, for you watching this team with Mueller, what has been the best part about his arrival?
Honestly, off the pitch. Now, I've said this a couple of times on our show, and I know it's a crazy thing to say, and for those watching outside of the market, yes, he's got goals and he's got assists, but there's been big spells of matches where he's been quite quiet and he hasn't really done a lot. But it just takes a second and he's got a goal, or a second and he's set someone up. So he's got that aura about him on the pitch, but he's embraced everything off it. He goes out to all the local sporting events here, and he only goes to things that he feels A, is going to enjoy, but also B, that's going to help grow the club. He doesn't want to go to something that's like, he won't go to a Canucks game if it's only going to help the Canucks. It has to help the Whitecaps as well. So he wants to make sure that by him being out there, folk are like, oh yeah, the Whitecaps, and folk are talking about the Whitecaps, and they are. Since he's arrived, we were going through our top 20 podcasts, I think, of the year, and the top 15 bar one is all since he arrived. And the only one that wasn't was ahead of the Champions Cup Final. But if our numbers have gone up, everyone's numbers have gone up. The interest that he's brought to the club is tremendous just by having a world-class name here. And when he was first linked, we were like, yeah, he's not coming. Because, well, you know the pitch we have, and it's no one wants to come and play in that pitch. And we've been linked with players before, and it's agents that's thrown a wild card in to kind of just make the other team that they are going to join be, oh, there's more competition, we need to raise the money. But then it became very clear he was coming, and it was like, I can't quite believe this. But he's fitted in seamlessly. And on the pitch, he's a leader. And the players all say it's like having a coach on the pitch. And whereas he might not be involved in every play, or he will make mistakes, that's what players do, even the best, he is talking them through the games. Whether he's back defending, whether he's in the middle of the park, whether he's up front, he's pointing, he's directing, he's like a conductor of an orchestra. And he's got so much attention on him that if you put two guys on him, you've automatically left someone else in space. And if it's one of our wingers, then good luck to you.
What is the experience like in the city right now? I have to admit, Susanna mentioned I've been to all but two MLS markets, and Vancouver is one of the two that I've never been to.
Samesies.
So next year, it's on the schedule, I promise. What was it like before this year? What has it been like this year? How have you sort of seen the change or the market relevance or the way people are engaging with it? And then on the back of that, this is all in light of the announcement that the team was going to be sold and maybe moved. And how has that maybe affected the experience this year?
At the start of the year, the sale was hanging over the club. There's no doubt about that. Everyone was like, I don't see why anybody would want to spend that money to keep the team in Vancouver, because very few folk in Vancouver would be able to afford the team.
Yeah.
So you're thinking it's an investor from the States, or it's an overseas investor that comes in. Overseas is your best bet because they might want to keep it there. But if you're in a market that's like, we want a team, we're not going to get an expansion team. Vancouver, get that, move them. So that was the big worry. But then it slowly subsided when on the pitch they were doing so well. It got brought up now and again. And Axel Schuster would say, oh, well, we're still in negotiations, nothing's certain. And then they came out midway through the season after a great start and said, oh, no, we might not be selling. We might just be looking for new investors. And we want a new stadium. And the cynical part of me feels that was the plan all along, because now there is movement on a stadium, which has been dead in the water since 2009, maybe 10, where Greg Kerfoot wanted to build a stadium with his own money on his own land and couldn't get permission, which is crazy. It was all the NIMBYs. They didn't want the traffic coming into the area. So now it looks like the stadium, a lot of work to do, and the sale is by the wayside. So because of that, that's helped the buzz. Folk are like, well, I can invest in the team. They're not going anywhere. The long-time people here remember Vancouver Grizzlies, which was before my time. I don't really follow basketball, but I know the story, and that hurt them so much. The Canucks are perennial letdowns, I would say. And I also say that not as a hockey fan. So, but I do know that there's always expectation. And even when they get in the playoffs, there was the one year they made the Stanley Cup, and then there was the riots. I don't think there'll be riots if the Whitecaps lose on Saturday. I don't think it's quite at that level yet in the city. But folk you wander around and you see Whitecaps gear everywhere. If you're wearing anything with a Whitecaps thing, folk are striking conversations up with you. I can be walking the dog, someone sees I've got a Whitecaps toque on, and they're like chatting to me about the team. So the excitement from the casuals is there. It's always been a very solid, strong soccer market for the hardcore and the expats. But a lot of expats, especially the Europeans, would look down at MLS and they'd look down at the Whitecaps. And it's like, I get up at 7 a.m. to watch my team. I don't care about this. But now they're buying tickets. They're interested. And yes, some of it is because of Muller. Some of it is because of the success on the pitch. But I think Vancouver's a bandwagon market. And right now, everyone is swept up in the team, and you're selling thousands of tickets to watch parties now at BC Place.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I'll take it all day long. So, Michael, this final on Saturday, Miami's a very long way away from Vancouver. But I've been told that you are making the trip to Miami for the MLS Cup Final. Can you kind of tell us, like, how many people do you think are going to be making that trip and what that match day experience will look like from the Vancouver perspective?
I think it could be up to 1,000.
Wow.
Because I've been told we've got 3 sections and the tickets have sold out. So I'm basing it on when we went down in May, we had one section that I think held 300. So unless they've given us really tiny sections, which they could have.
Sections like FIFA selling tickets in Mexico. For cheap.
It's or the category 4 for the World Cup.
The green
don't need to exist. But I mean, I don't know where they're giving us, but if it's where they were in May, it's right behind the goal in the corner. So if they have 3 of those, that's 3 fairly big sections. There was a good few hundred went down to San Diego. I didn't. I took the gamble that I couldn't afford to go to both. And I was like, I think we'll win. I'm going to get the MLS Cup.
Smart
and then
man.
instantly regretted not going down there. I'm flying down Wednesday, getting all the media stuff done. So staying near the stadium, just excited to embrace it. I've been at one MLS Cup before, which was in Seattle. So this is going to be so different because it's my club that I'm now covering at it. But there's a big buzz. There's folk that's going down, I think, as well, that don't have tickets, just to hopefully get them on the day or just be part of the experience. But it's going to be crazy. And it's going to be a tough game. And I think we're all very aware of the task that faces them.
Before we get into the game, if it goes the right way, what do you think the celebration will be like in Vancouver?
In Vancouver, it'll be huge. At BC Place, at the time of recording this, there are about 16,000 tickets at the watch party. So that is probably going to get to about 20. Maybe even more by game time, which is going to be more than I think's in Chase Field, which is crazy in itself. So that place is just going to be electric. It was on Saturday by all accounts. I don't like going to those because I pace around and I can't. Like the LAFC game was sheer hell in the press box. I sat in the far end of the press box because I just didn't want to speak to anyone. I just wanted to sit in my own watching the game. But there'll be a parade if they win it. I don't know that there'll be over 100,000 like the NASL 1 in 79 that everyone talks to, but there'll be a really good turnout. It'll be crazy, and because the game's so early and everyone's flying home Sunday or Monday, Miami or Fort Lauderdale is going to be absolutely buzzing on Saturday night if the Whitecaps win. And I just hope, if that is the case, the Miami fans are a bit more gracious in defeat than the players were in the League's Cup loss.
Indeed. Wow. I'm so excited for this final. Michael, what has it been like watching Inter Miami sort of steamroll teams as of late in these playoffs? It feels like this is a game where like you have to score at least 3 goals to have a chance, because Miami have been putting up such ridiculous numbers. For Vancouver to overcome this incredibly potent Miami attack, what has to happen?
I mean, in answer to your first question, it's been terrifying watching them, because the whole playoffs, we knew how we wanted it to play out, and it was Charlotte or New York City getting to the final, and then we would host here. And in Miami makes it tough. If we hadn't blown the last game on decision day, we'd be hosting this in Vancouver. But then our path to the final would also have been different, and we might have played LAFC in the final, and that might have gone differently. But LAFC terrified me going into the playoffs. And although the second half and extra time was hell, as I mentioned, that first half, the Whitecaps just negated any threat that they had. So can they do that with Miami? The key is the midfield battle. Now, dangerous to say, but Kubis in the 2 meetings this year, but also for Paraguay against Argentina, has had Messi in his pocket. And he's handled him so well. And in those 2 games in CONCACAF, they had the game plan perfect, and they negated any attacking threat. Now, this is a very different Miami side to what it was back then. They're playing some of the best football I've ever seen in MLS. They're free-flowing. You can't give them space. Jordi Alba's a beast tearing up the wing. If they can stop Alba getting forward or get the ball off him quickly as he tears forward, he's then left space at the back. Long ball forward, and one of our wingers is onto that. So our wing play is key. We've got to use the pace. That Miami defence, for me, is not good. You put them under pressure, they will break. NYC came so close to getting that equaliser. And if you look, maybe not the first goal, but the second, the third, and the fourth, it was all Miami reacting, getting the ball, hitting in transition, and NYC were short and they got caught out. So if the Whitecaps can get the first goal, I'm a lot more confident. Mm-hmm. Even at 1 down, I think they can get back into it. 2 down, although at 2 down this year I felt we can, I'd think that's it.
Man, cannot wait for this final. This is going to be epic, historic stuff for either club. But man, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, Michael. Thank you so very much for taking the time. Have a very safe journey to Miami. And I know I'm supposed to be unbiased as a journalist, but I really want Vancouver to win.
That's good. So do I. I think probably most of the league do. Just because of how things have played out in Miami. And it's nothing against Messi, but you always want the underdog.
Yeah.
And we're definitely going into this as the underdogs, but underdogs with a very good chance.
A very good chance. An exceptional team, a special team. Enjoy it, Michael. Enjoy every second of Saturday. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Susanna. Thanks, David.
Well, a big thanks to Javon and Michael for taking the time to join us and give us a little peek behind the curtain in terms of the mindset of these 2 different fan bases. Goss, you're going to be at this MLS Cup Final in Miami. I know that you and I are well-versed in MLS Cup Finals, and we have been at some of the more epic ones. But what is your anticipation level of this particular final?
From a game point of view, I think this might be the best game we've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And so on field, I would say like 2016, right? That was the 2017. That was the second time between Toronto and Seattle.
Second Toronto and Seattle.
Yeah, where you're like, these teams will go toe to toe. You know how good they are. You know the history that's on that has the opportunity. And I would say 2022, Philadelphia and LAFC, again, where it was like, these are the two best teams. They're gonna go for it. But I think the potential of both these teams sort of playing an open soccer game is different. Where that time it was like, Philly's going to press, Seattle's going to go and defend. This one's like, these two teams can get after it. They've been, Miami's been one of the best teams over the last 2.5 years. They haven't been the best team this year, but in stretches they have. And Vancouver, I think this might be the best season of all time. If they win MLS Cup, we have never seen a team contend the way they did in CCL and then also contend in the regular season and in MLS playoffs. And they won the Canadian Championship all in the same year. Something just fell in my house.
Ghosts in the house.
Yeah. So I'm really, really excited for that. And, in terms of atmosphere, I think the stadium will be great. It's a tough place to come. It was cool to hear Javon talk about it and bring the love and interest to it, which is like, Douglas knows better than us. Like the tailgates at RFK were legendary. And for everyone complaining about how RFK was a dump in a baseball stadium, like the bleachers bounced in a way that was unique to them. And the tailgate had there was a tailgate culture that was built over time. Yes. And I think that's what it feels like from Javon that Chase Stadium has, where, as Douglas literally writes in, it was a dump, but it was our dump. And I think people get that. And so it was cool to hear that sort of beauty of it from him. Because for me, it's like, it's the middle of nowhere. It's hard to get to. I will probably take a train, which means I then have to take a shuttle bus, and it's a whole experience. So that part's a little less ideal.
Good for you taking public transportation, though. I applaud you, sir, doing your civic duty. No, I think do you know what I find interesting too about Miami? It's just such an international hotbed. And so I have to imagine that when you go to an Inter Miami tailgate, it is just a potpourri of different cultures, because obviously Javon is Jamaican. And so there's that Caribbean representation, but then obviously all the Argentines and South American influences as well. And then the Cubanos. It's like, I feel like it's a very, very cool melting pot of many, many different soccer cultures all convening in one place, which is probably pretty awesome.
Yeah. And it's cool. Obviously Messi's brought a lot of them into the team, but I think Inter Miami, because they're a newer team, it allows you to be a Juve fan from growing up, or a PSG or Marseille fan, or Real Madrid or Barcelona fan, and also be an Inter Miami fan. And that's what I see with a lot of the people. Like, you go to the games and people are speaking French and Creole and Spanish and, have different accents and all of that. And you get that sort of blend of then all of the ways they support the game kind of mixing in to the experience. So I think it's really big. It's funny that both people were like, oh, it's a bandwagon city. I think we kind of got to accept the fact that people like winners, and there's always going to be less interest when a team's not winning. That's just that's every place.
That is literally everyone. I mean, that's me. I'm a diehard Chicago Cubs fan, but do I pay more attention when they're actually winning? 100%.
You don't watch 162 games when they lose 95.
No, I do not.
Yeah. I will say, I think cities have a culture sometimes, or a team. That's one of the things I learned living in Boston, where I was like, I think every Celtics fan is a front runner because it's a Red Sox city and a hockey town.
Yeah.
So they like the Celtics when they win, and they don't when they don't. And that's fine. I think Philly, a lot of people would say, is probably a football city. The Eagles are dominant. Definitely. And I think most cities have that, whether it's a team or it's the sport, where it's this is the one that everyone here plays and we are good at, and has a high school or college or whatever rec culture to it. I would say Seattle and Portland are probably the soccer cities that most people would say, where it's if the teams are bad, they're still invested and watching because that's the main sport. And some other ones are probably growing in the US and would love to hear feedback from other people. But then everyone else is technically a front runner because you're not as invested when you're not as invested. But both teams are bought in. A championship will mean a lot to both of them. Oof. I think both teams can win. And that's where I think the interest really, really comes from.
Okay, so I full-fledged admitted that I am rooting for Vancouver in this one. So I'm not running away from it. But Goss, you live in Miami now. I'm not saying that you are a Miami guy by any means.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Thank
but do you have a vested interest in Miami winning this, or are you Team Vancouver?
Because both teams have never won, it's exciting to me if both teams win. Like, sure. When Seattle played Toronto for the second time, I was like, it'd be nice to see Toronto win. It would have been nice to see Philly win their first. Like, all these things I often lean towards, but it's hard to not be in love with this Vancouver team. Like, they're the Bad News Bears. They play unreal soccer. We talked about Ali Ahmed in that. I could have done that about pretty much every player in this group. Tristan Blackman, Ralph Priso playing center back on his third club that had given up on him. Sebastian Berhalter and what he's been through. And now Berhalter scoring goals for the national team. Like, all of that is wild. Brian White, Ali Ahmed, Emmanuel Sabi. There's so many great stories, and it feels like Thomas Mueller's the fun uncle of all of it. So they're really hard to root against. So I think I'd probably lean that way if I had to pick one. And I also think they're going to win. Like, I think they've got this team of destiny type stuff like Michael talked about, which I think sort of skews my view of, like, I think they're deserving of it. And I think it would be really cool to put the ribbon on this season so that we could describe it going forward the way it should be, which is it's the greatest 10 months in MLS history. I
love that. I'm with you, Gus. I'm super excited for this one. Saturday's going to be a lot of fun. I've got an old school Vancouver Whitecaps kit that I'm gonna wear. It's like the one with like the collar. I think from like the early '80s. It's so good, so good.
That's sick.
I'm gonna bust that one out just for the occasion. I'm very, very excited. All right. The World Cup draw is upon us. All the activity getting ready to kick off at the John F. Kennedy Center in D.C. The 12 groups of 4 teams will be determined. So David Goss, you and I decided to put together our World Cup draw wish list. 5 things that we would like to see either happen or come out of this draw. Are you ready to do this?
Listen, I'm never ready for a FIFA draw event. They are a one-of-one style. I can't expect this one will be any different. And I am sure that everything we hope for will not come true.
100% with you there. All right. So I'll kick us off on our wish list because I feel like this is going to happen. 100%. But on my wish list, Goss, is that there is going to be some exceptionally cringe and awkward moment between Gianni Infantino and Donald Trump, who will both be in attendance. And as we know, and as we have seen, they've gotten a little chummy over the past year.
Best friends.
And besties. Totes besties. And you just know that there is going to be some weird viral moment that comes out of this. Either it's, they're like dancing together. I don't even know. I don't know. But like the possibilities truly are endless when it comes to these two gentlemen.
Would you describe that as somewhat like standing in the middle of a trophy lift? Having one person try and be in it, the other person try and get out of it, and then having to find a way to manage through it while a bunch of young athletes jump up and down and enjoy the moment?
Oh, God.
Would that be in the territory of what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's kind of definitely along those lines.
Yeah.
But just, both of them are so capable of doing just the utmost cringiest behaviors. It really could go anywhere. And so it's kind of one of those, a car crash where I'm like, watching behind closed, my hands in front of my eyes, but I'm peeking because I don't want to miss it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I will say your bingo card will be beautiful, used 1,000 times. Gianni at some point saying that every venue and game is going to be the best ever. So those are all on there. Obviously, some potential fake awards that get given away. I guarantee you Pele's name gets brought up because it's the only soccer player that Senor Trumpito has ever heard of. So it has to get mentioned because it's the only one. Shout out to Pele, legend. And so that's my bingo card for you so far.
Yep.
And you can fill the rest in, but that's why we are doing our own draw show at Kickback. We are watching it so you don't have to. We're going to talk about everything else going on besides that. And we have a couple of awards of our own that we are planning to give away to some of the esteemed people of the world who have accomplished or not accomplished the things that they are being awarded for.
I'm intrigued, Goss. That's very enticing. Okay, that was my first one. I feel pretty confident about manifesting that one.
Yeah, that one.
What you got?
That one might be realistic.
Right.
So mine is this, and we unfortunately found out that we won't know the exact locations of where the teams are playing until Saturday, which is classic, like 3 days.
Let's make another event.
Let's make another event, and potentially that event will have another third event off the back of it that will give us all the other information. But one of the side stories that hasn't really been discussed, and I think for a lot of people around the US and Canada especially, and Mexico, that's going to be really fun, is the teams are going to come to the World Cup 4 to 6 weeks before the World Cup starts. Mm-hmm. And from what we learned from the Athletic article about where the US is going to be playing their games, you can't then play friendlies in the FIFA World Cup stadiums, and you probably can't play them in the market. So base camps are going to be really interesting because I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for people to like go out and be around these teams or see them play mini closed door friendlies. Like I remember 2010, the US played in South Africa against like Croatia or someone. And it was like, there was like 45 people at the game. And I was like watching a grainy stream from back in the US. All that stuff's going to be here now. So that part is really, really cool. And like I've been around, I'm sure you have the summer friendlies when a Liverpool or Man City or whatever is training at Harvard, and you just like wander in and you could stand outside and watch the players train and they come and sign autographs. And I think that's going to be really cool. There's a bizarre curve to this, which is the places named as potential base camps, which are all on FIFA's website because they get to, the teams get to choose from the official ones, are all like hilarious college towns and like spring break venues. So we're calling this International Soccer Spring Break. And on tap, potentially, is Stillwater, Oklahoma, State College, Pennsylvania, Boca Raton, Myrtle Beach. Like, what would be better than having Luka Modric training at Myrtle Beach, and you're just hanging in Myrtle Beach in May of 2026, and then you pop over to watch Croatia train?
I mean, Luka Modric on the dirty Myrtle is everything that I would need as a soccer fan. It's too good. It's too good. I'd have like t-shirts made up, you know. I mean, it's just, yeah.
Oh, well, there are multiple t-shirt shops in most of those towns that I'm sure could assist you in a quick print about something that is both racy and a play on words. So they can help you out there. So I'm excited to find out where these teams end up. I think it's hilarious, the idea of like Germany or Portugal being in Penn State and just like, in between training.
Have you been to State College?
I have not been to State. I'm not as big a Big Ten person.
It leaves a lot to be desired.
The insomnia cookies that all of these international soccer players are about to eat.
Say less, my friend.
About to go through the roof. There's going to be an insomnia cookies at the Bernabeu by the end of 2026.
That should be a World Cup sponsor, honestly.
That should be a World Cup sponsor. Based off these venues, it might be.
100%.
And then the one thing to add here is, so one of the potential base sites is Stockton University, which they say is in Atlantic City. It's a second or D2 or D3 school in New Jersey. And they were the hosts in 1994 for Argentina as their base camp. And as part of that, Santiago Solari, I think his dad was a part of the AFA organization and thought the school was so nice that he took his kid out of the River Plate Academy and sent him to go to Stockton for a year and play soccer there. And this is a guy who went on to play for River Plate, Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, and Inter Milan, and then eventually coached Real Madrid in America. So the idea that in potentially 1 year, but in 25 years, there's someone who's like a soccer royalty who's like, well, my parents always told me, you know, that I have to go to this college because this is the place that they did base camp. It just cracks me up.
It's a wild narrative that's created through this, because it would just never. Why would Stockton University be on anyone's radar in that way?
I mean, High Point College is on here.
Do you know what? We were talking about this though in our production meeting. Like, some of these training facilities at these universities though are world class,
elite, yeah.
So nice. So in some ways it makes perfect sense, but it's just interesting that these locations, some of them are just, they're a little bit remote, a little off the beaten path, and these tiny places that they probably never in a million years thought they would find themselves in, these elite athletes. And welcome to Stockton University.
There is one called the Waters Sportsplex, which is the Grand Hyatt Tampa Bay. It is like, this stuff is amazing. The PGA National Hotel is going to be one of the hosts.
I want to get these players to vlog the experience.
The experience of just pure Americana.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be so good. I would watch it for days. So good. Great shout, Goss. All right, next up on my wish list. I went a little irreverent with my wish list, but I'm not mad at it. So I decided every year every World Cup draw, there's performers, because they make it this big to do. So there are, musical acts. And so I just figured, wouldn't it be great if Bad Bunny just decided to make an appearance just to piss off Donald Trump? Wouldn't that just be awesome?
The face of the Super Bowl.
Exactly. I mean, Trump's having his whole alternate Super Bowl halftime show in protest to Bad Bunny being the halftime act. So I just thought it would be hysterical if Bad Bunny just popped up and
what a 6 month span or 3 month span that would be for Bad Bunny if it were to happen.
Wouldn't it be great?
The odds of that one feel the lowest.
That one's pretty low. Agreed. That one's pretty low because obviously I feel like FIFA and Fox are probably we're gonna play nice. But
J Balvin was the Club World Cup halftime show for the final, which I was at, which he crushed.
Wow.
Yeah, I love J Balvin. I've seen him twice in concert, and one time I didn't know it was at a music festival, and I had gone because a friend of mine was working, and we go to support and just hang out, and then music started playing. I was like, is that J Balvin? And they were like, yeah, he's the second headliner. And I was like, what? Whoa. Now I'm on a picnic table in Citi Field's parking lot screaming for J Balvin the whole time. But yeah, that would be luscious if it were to occur. And if you're doing a world event, you might as well have a world superstar. I don't think there's anyone bigger right now. One thing that cracks me up, by the way, which I've never gotten over, is that Shakira, who's from South America, did the anthem for the South Africa World Cup.
Yes.
And then 4 years later, Pitbull, who's from North America, did the anthem for the Brazil World Cup. And on one hand, both those countries are places with awesome music cultures of their own. So you could potentially get an artist from there. So I will not be shocked if they somehow found a Middle Eastern artist to be the face of the U.S. Mexico
definitely
Canada
what's going to happen,
World
isn't
Cup
it?
Anthem. Yeah,
that's 100% what's going to happen. Goss, you're brilliant.
Or it'll be a Spanish or Portuguese or Moroccan artist.
You're 100%
Carol G,
correct.
I think, is Spanish, and then you could just still be one in advance all the time.
That's such a good shout. Okay, what's next for you?
I got into the soccer here a little bit.
Okay, that's fair.
I know. I'm looking at the groups. I'm looking at the pots. I'm trying to see what could happen. And there are a few things that I sort of trigger in my mind of these are great World Cup matchups. These are potentially great matchups or history. And to me, the biggest one about this is I think the Azteca is one of the temples of the game. It is a place that I'd always dreamt of going. I've actually not been still. I've been to Mexico City and seen games in other stadiums, but not there. And I would imagine I won't be at a World Cup game in Mexico City at the Azteca. But it's one of those places. Everyone says when you go that everything in the hallways and the tunnels is the photos of all the greats who played there and the history that was there. So it's hosted 2 World Cups. It'll be the first stadium to host 3 when this launches, 1970 and 1986. And in 1986, it was the site for Diego Maradona and all of his greatness. Now, Mexico, as a potted host, they will play there. The only team is an A team, pot one, that can be at the top of their group, who could end up there as well, my understanding, would have to be in Group L, and that would be a spot that I would love to see Argentina in. So they would have to get to the round of 16 for that point, and it could be Mexico-Argentina, which I go back to 2006, which is one of my favorite World Cup games of all time. They faced off again in 2022. A lot of Mexico fans think it's a rivalry. A lot of Argentina fans hate that Mexico fans think it's a rivalry. It's something I'm around a lot in Miami with all the Argentines that I interact with. They're like, what's the deal with like Mexico fans? I'm like, they're your rival. And they're like, we didn't even know that until they told us that. But like to have to go into Mexico would be legendary. It's very rare for, Mexico to host these international teams because the team normally plays their friendlies in the US, and to just on the biggest stage, connecting Messi to Maradona, connecting those moments, and potentially either it's Mexico's greatest victory in their country's history, or Argentina continues on the march, and now you're hearkening back to the history that was in 1986, where the hand of God happened and the greatest goal of the century. Like, all of that would be cool. So that's one of the ones where I'm like, if they got matched in the right quadrants, it would be really, really cool to see.
Love that. Sold, David Goss. Okay, I also went a little actual soccer for my next item on the wish list, and it's maybe a tad bit controversial because I don't know if everyone will be on board for this, but I wouldn't hate it if the United States got drawn against Switzerland in the group stage, because as we remember, this fall, it didn't go well for the United States against Switzerland. And I feel like it just sort of propelled this very negative narrative around the team that we didn't have what it takes against, good European clubs. And so I feel like we've been playing, leading up to this point. Hopefully we will be playing well. We'll continue this upwards trajectory, and it will kind of be a little bit of a revenge match for the US after just kind of getting embarrassed by them earlier this fall. And we'll also kind of like put to rest, like it would just be great if it was like, oh, look what we did. Yeah. That happened last year. Like onwards, like this is who we are. Also, apparently I forgot this. The US played Switzerland in 94. In the
opener. Yeah.
In the opener, and it was a 1-1 draw, so which was a really positive result for them. So
Eric Ronaldo with the goal, which, by the way, was at the Pontiac Dome, which no longer is used. And I think at the time it was the first ever World Cup game played inside. And this concept of an inside stadium, like when you go back, I didn't experience that at the time, but when you go back and you see like the content around it, it's like, how could the Americans play inside? Like, this is unhuman. And now it's like, do you guys have enough inside stadiums? Because we can't play outside. And unfortunately, it hasn't been that long for that to happen.
Yep. Times have changed. But yeah, I think that would be a very tasty matchup for the United States, and could be a very big statement maker for them. So I
am in favor of that, because I am on the record as saying I hate the Swiss national team. I've been to 2 Swiss World Cup games, and they are the most boring team all the time. But yet they play well against good teams and bad against bad teams. So if you get them against a good team, they somehow move on and take away the team you think you're going to see. But if you get them against a bad team, it's just a bad game. So I would be in favor of the U.S. Taking care of business in that one. So I went with a different U.S. matchup, but they would both be possible because Switzerland's in pot 2 and a UEFA team. And I went with Ghana in pot 4. Like, to me, U.S. World Cup, iconic. It means Ghana. 06, 10, like 14. It happened 3 straight times. And in 14, I was there. And it was the only thing I wanted was the U.S. to beat Ghana at a World Cup game. It had been clawing at me for 8 years. They were able to do it. They end up getting through the group. Ghana does not. Ghana's maybe not the powerhouse now that they were at the time. But, like, give me all the chaos. Give me all the throwbacks. Give me the revenge. Give me all of it. And if you were to get Ghana in pot 4 as a U.S. fan, that's kind of a tough draw. Like, I think they're one of the better teams there, although it would take a potential Senegal or Morocco off the board because you can't have 2 African teams against you. So it's not the worst draw to sort of play out for you in that way. But, like, like you said, they're playing well. You're at home. You're good right now. You have good players. Like, I don't want to shy away from the sort of like potential threats. Like, step up to the plate, play the big
100%.
boys.
This is
and
the
do it
moment.
well. Yeah.
This is the stage. Was it 2014? John Brooks's goal against Gun?
Yeah. What a
I
moment.
cried.
Yeah.
I burst into tears.
There was a funny moment where, so there was a huge drought in California coming into that game, and there was 2 LA Galaxy fans in the row in front of me. And right after John Anthony Brooks scored, it started raining, of course, in Natal, Brazil. And the game ends, and they look at each other and scream, "The drought is over."
Oh,
and they put their hands up, and it was like this mixed combo of it's raining, and finally the U.S. has been victorious. And I've always remembered that moment.
Ooh, goosebumps.
Yeah.
Goosebumps. Yeah. Incredible moment. Epic matchup. Love it. Okay, I'm back on my bullshit.
Nice.
I'm going back to the actual show of the draw. And on my wish list, I hope that they bring back Idris Elba as the host, because you can't go wrong, my friend. He's hosted the last 2, I believe, 2022 and 2018. And you know, what can I say? I just love me a little Idris Elba. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Is it a Luther Idris Elba? Is it have you seen this Hijack show? I watched the entire thing because Idris Elba's good to watch, even if the
I know
are
he's the
good.
only reason I kept watching that show. By the way, it's Luther. Luther Idris Elba is sensational.
I've been rewatching The Office in the background while I've been working, and he's in that. Just so random. He's in like 3 episodes. Yeah.
I don't remember this at all.
He plays someone who's brought in as Michael Scott's boss, and then he ends up getting fired. And he plays an American in it. And you're like, wasn't the whole point the show was British? He could have just been British. It would have been very random. And he pops up where you're like, I would not expect to see him there.
That is very random.
He's a powerhouse, though. He's awesome to watch. It's understandable how he gets the role. He's pretty good on a script, and he's pretty good at making it feel fun, even if it's probably not that fun. And as you said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, he's also easy on the eyes.
Yes.
So
he's a good guy. Yeah.
Why not? Why not? Bring him back. Bring him back.
All right, I'm going to go back to a little soccer here on this one, which is there's like a million matchups I would love to see. One is it's the largest World Cup in history, 48 teams. So you have these teams who have these historical connections that we've never seen be able to get to a World Cup, or at least in this volume. So you have the big one is a lot of countries that had former colonial pasts or similar languages or shared histories that could play against each other for the first time. Also, one of the things that I'm really excited about is the diaspora communities across the US, Canada, and Mexico, which are some of the largest in the world, if not the largest for most countries, and the potential for those countries to play close to them and to have fan bases come out. So the one I put down, my number one that would happen, is Cape Verde, Cabo Verde against Portugal in Boston.
Wow.
It's the biggest Portuguese community in the U.S., in North America. It's the biggest Cape Verde community outside of Cape Verde, across New England. It is a former colonial power against its former colony. It is also one of those where a lot of players have background on both sides. Some were born in Cape Verde and played for Portugal. Some were born in Portugal and played for Cape Verde. So it has all of those connections. And I think the atmosphere around the game and in the city and in the area leading up to it would be absolutely electric.
Oh, that would be amazing. But we won't find that out until Saturday, if it would be possible.
Yeah. Something else to look forward to.
Damn you, FIFA.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's such a good shout, and I love it. Okay, for my my next item on the wish list, I think I am not alone in thinking that Morocco is probably one of the most intriguing countries involved in this World Cup, just based on what they did in 2022, and also just how they've been playing and are literally kind of just coming into this World Cup as a powerhouse. And it would be, they're in pot 2 right now. So the potential for a rematch against France or Spain is on the table. And obviously, Morocco lost 2-0 in the semifinals to France. But they beat Spain in penalty kicks. And so either one of those, I feel like, would be so emotionally charged, because Morocco would obviously want to play the revenge card on France. Spain would be wanting the exact same if they face them after losing in PKs. So it just feels like it would be such an important, and it would feel like a much later round matchup.
If it ends up in the group stage,
if it ended up in the group stage. And I think it would be just, starting out the whole tournament with a bang would be exciting.
And Morocco's that team. Norway and Morocco are the 2 teams in this draw where they're going to be in the group of death, because they're the problem. They're the best teams at their pot. And the U.S. has been this in the past, where the U.S., because of CONCACAF, was in pot 2 or 3. And it would be like, why do they end up in the group of death? It's like, well, they're the problem. Like, you're the one coming out. And Morocco coming out of pot 2, being a returning semifinalist. And like, we did a whole video about the 87 things they're hosting right now. They're hosting the AFCON in 2 weeks. They've hosted women's AFCON. They've hosted U17 World Cups. They've won U20 World Cups. They've won U17s. Like, they are competing on every single front. And if it's Spain or Portugal, they're going to be co-hosts next World Cup. So they couldn't be grouped together. So this would be the one opportunity for them to play each other before a potential late round in 4 years, after there's 112 teams and it's a 6-year tournament and all the types of things that are going to happen around that. So I love that one. I think it's super interesting. Do you think Morocco are like everyone's second team right now?
Yes. Yeah. I feel like they're many people's second team, but I also think that they are on the cusp of almost, becoming, I don't want to say a favorite, but like,
then you're a heavyweight.
They're not the darling. I wouldn't say
Croatia
they're like the darling
in 2022
anymore.
instead of Croatia in 2018. Yeah,
exactly.
You're like, we've seen this before.
Exactly. And
I think
so
that's fair.
like they've outgrown that sort of, persona of being that like lovable underdog. It's like, no, they're just actually like really good.
Yeah.
So
okay, I'm going to finish up on another one where it's really about team in a certain place. There's so many of these you could do, but one of the ones I've fallen in love with is the South Korea fans. We talked about I've watched multiple World Cup games in K-Town in the U.S. or in New York, as well as in Flushing. I grew up with a lot of Korean people in my hometown. Some of my best friends have gone and lived there, so I'm super connected. But I think, to me, the image of the fans in 02 in Korea is the World Cup. Like, that's one of those iconic images of, like, if I ran through 5 of them to do an intro video, it would be Maradona's gold. It would be Brazil in their yellow jersey and what they're capable of. It would probably be Kylian Mbappe at this point. And I think the South Korea fans in 02 is one of them. LA is the biggest South Korean community outside of the country. And Sun has activated that in a way that we knew would happen, but it has like prepped it for what's occurring. I think the stat is 23 Korean outlets have been credentialed for LAFC games over the last 5 months so that they can cover Sun with that team. They've put out special jerseys, and the Korean community in LA is just one of the coolest communities.
Yeah.
The food is great. The culture is great. The art that they produce and the way it's so connected. And so to put South Korea in that stadium, and I was at the South Korea USA game where people were buzzing to be at Red Bull Arena. Now you throw that in like a SoFi with 25,000 more, at least South Korea fans, it would be electric. And again, they're a pot 2 team, so it could be against a big team, which would just be even cooler.
I love that. It's an amazing shout. One of the best nights of my life was spent in Koreatown in Los Angeles.
Boom.
Had the best food, and then went to one of those private karaoke joints and had your own room and
a little
just
soju,
dominated
a little mackerel.
You know it. It was like just a top night. 100%. Never forget it.
Yeah.
Great job. I think this is a great wish list.
I think so too. I
feel like everyone would benefit if
I think the draw should
any of
just
these were to
follow
come true.
this, and no one should have any other plan, and that's all you need.
That's why we're here, and that is why we do the things that we do. The Kickback Committee is here for all y'all, doing the Lord's work, as they say. Gus, remind people about the World Cup draw, when it starts, where it is. We gotta promote the hell out of this thing.
Yeah, we are going to be streaming live on YouTube as well as on Instagram. Our new feed, which is Kickback 26. Which we are going to be activating going into the World Cup. We have a lot of plans around that. We've got capsules about every single country as their own podcast, as well as their own social video that you and I have worked on that are all going to be launching over the next few weeks. And it's going to be headlined by our live World Cup draw show. So we're going to be on the entire time the draw is on, and then we're going to be on past that, giving you your analysis. So we're going to start around 11:45 Eastern time, 12 o'clock. And then we're going to be on with Claudia Pagan, Eric Krakauer, Heath Pierce, some other big guests. We've got Eloy Room, the starter for the Curacao national team, who is one of the best personalities and sort of helps us tell that story. We've got some other big guests from Africa to sort of dig into AFCON and what we're going to see from those teams. And we're going to cover it from all the different angles and just have fun with it. You mentioned off the top of the segment, but FIFA events are weird. They can be difficult, annoying, frustrating, but we're all excited about the draw. And what we are going to do here at Kickback is we are going to try and preserve the parts of this that we all love, take away some of the parts for the angst of all of us with the way it's being controlled. And you talk about the price of the tickets and the experience people want to have and how performative the whole thing has to become. And we're going to talk soccer every once in a while as well. So we're going to be streaming probably for about 4 hours, and then put some of it out as a podcast as well after it. So you can follow us on our socials. You can go to Kickback 26 as well for the podcast afterwards.
Amazing. I can't wait for it. It's all starting, Gus. Like this is
it's happening.
This
is the thing in the future we kept talking about.
Exactly. Like it is here, and 2026 is around the corner, and we could not be more excited. There's so many amazing things that we're going to be doing, and yeah, it all kicks off on Friday. A huge thanks again to Javon Haughton and Michael McColl for taking the time to join us today ahead of the MLS Cup Final between Inter Miami and the Vancouver Whitecaps. Guys, make sure you check out all the latest episodes of Kickback Committee, Soccer Wise, our happy hours, subscribe to our newsletters, follow us on the socials, do all the things. As Gus mentioned, we're doing this all for you, and we love doing it. So check us out. But yeah, enjoy the big soccer week, everybody. We will see you next time.